All right, here we are. Episode 2 of the extended Gamut.
Episode 2.
We've got a lot of questions that are coming in.
Yeah. We got 5 more we're going to cover today.
5 more. Well, we're excited to jump in to a bunch of different topics. Wide-ranging.
Yeah. Extended.
We better get to it.
Let's do it.
All right, here we are. 5 questions.
Let's jump right to it. The people have questions.
Question 1. Expected printhead life versus guaranteed or warranted printhead use. So the question is around there's a difference, and how do I understand what could be my expected printhead life? But then what if like something goes wrong? What's warranted? So I'll set this up for you a little bit for people that might be listening. You have a printhead. That's where the ink is going and getting jetted through. Sometimes it's a thermal printhead. Sometimes it's a piezo printhead. It's the piece that is jetting the ink onto the surface. Mm-hmm. That printhead is going to have a life. It also is going to have a guarantee or warranty. Yep. We've found those are completely different. What you expect to get out of something versus a warranty, I like to think of it like a tire, right? And you'll get into this a little bit more, but you might have a tire that's 50,000 miles is how much you should get out of the tire. But the tire shop's going to give you a new tire if something goes wrong within 10,000 miles or something like that. So expected, warranted, why don't you go a little deeper on that topic?
Okay. So I guess let's start at the printheads. So you have you mentioned thermal and piezo. Thermal uses heat to generate almost like boiling or bubbling that squirts ink out onto the surface of the paper. Piezo uses electric impulses. So it's going to not use heat. It's going to use electricity.
Heat-free. They like to call it heat-free technology.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's a key difference in technology. And so thermal, anything that you apply heat to, it's going to degrade over time, right? You can only apply heat for so long to materials. So in a printhead, HP and Canon in their different technologies use thermal printheads, and they have a pretty good sense for how long the heads are going to last in normal use conditions, how much printing, how long. Epson, on the other hand, they use a piezo head, and so they don't cover, they don't give an expected life for the print head. I'm sure they have it, but it's not a consumable, and it's not something that's expected to wear out in the same way that a thermal head would. So for this question, we're really looking at thermal print heads, and that's where the question came from, was on one of the HP videos.
Little known fact,
yeah.
As you get in, part of the Epson heat-free technology is because it uses a quartz crystal as the timing mechanism for how to jet the ink. So it's just a completely different process.
Yeah.
Which is why they don't give that.
It sounds fancy.
It is.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at a couple different technologies. So we'll start on the aqueous side. So Canon and HP both use thermal print heads. So like a Canon print head that goes in like the Pro 2000, 4000, 6000, they don't give you they give you a duration. They say 1 year. So you have a 1 year warranty on the print head. That's how long they expect it to last. HP does it differently. They give you the expected life in terms of milliliters fired. So how many droplets are you firing through the print head? And so on like the Gen 3 latex printers, it's 1,000 milliliters is the warranty per print head. So they give you I'm like confusing the terms even right off the bat. They give you 4,000, they expect 4,000 milliliters. Okay. 4,000 around there. That's expected. So they have all this data from all these people that have been printing, and they say the average length of time that you can, the average amount of prints that you can expect to use, produce in a print head is about 4,000 milliliters.
Which would be is it 750 milliliters, a liter now? I think it's a liter.
Yeah, so the new generation, it's a liter and 3 liter.
So if it's a liter, that's basically 4 sets of ink, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's to go through one channel, right? So if you have one head that's dedicated to one color, it's going through, it's jetting that much through those nozzles.
Yeah.
So they pair them up. So we're getting into the weeds a little bit, but so if HP is saying you get 4,000 milliliters out of a print head, they don't warranty it for 4,000. That's just expected based on all the usage from all the global data that they have.
Right.
But what they warranty it for is 1,000 milliliters. So if you get a print head and you use it just a handful of times and it's already clogged or defective or not working, HP will replace it. They'll send you a brand new one within that, before you get to 1,000 milliliters.
Okay.
So that's for their Gen 3, which they call low volume printers. And then you go into Gen 4, which is our newest latex printers, 700 and 800. Well, those heads, they split them up into color print heads and white print heads, right? Because now we have white ink. And white ink is notoriously hard to fire because it's heavier pigment. So they do 1,000 milliliters still on the white, which is great, is the warrantied life. And 1,500 on the colors now is the warrantied life.
Okay.
Expected is still 4,000, a little bit better they say now. So maybe 5,000 or 6,000 is kind of the expected. This is all just kind of a range because there's no recourse if you don't get to 5,000 or 6,000. It's just trying to give you a range of here's what we would expect.
Okay.
And then you go and you get into the larger printers, so the 1,500, the 3,000, that whole series, 3,600, 3,800.
These are super wide now,
Yep.
right? 126 inches.
Yep. And then the R1000, R2000. So at this point, they're warranting the heads for those larger printers. They're much bigger heads, bigger dies. It's 12,000 milliliters fired through a print head. That's the warranted life. They expect you to get 30 to 40 liters, maybe even more than that per.
wow.
Yeah.
But they're more expensive.
Much more expensive. Yeah. Much bigger head. So that's kind of like, that's how those two terms are used. And sometimes they're used incorrectly. But so warranted is what the HP is standing behind and saying the printhead will last at least this long and we'll replace it if it isn't. And expected is this is how long most people are seeing with normal use. This is what you should expect so that you can plan, your consumables purchases, and really for costing out jobs, this is what you should expect to get.
Yeah.
Does that make a little sense?
It does. I think I was originally thinking, well, the expected life and the warranted life should be the same. And then I started thinking about just my life in general and all the things around my house. And I was like, oh, I guess people expect my fridge to last 20 years, but my warranty is a year or two.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about basically everything that I have to buy. Sort of follows that model.
Yeah.
But I was still taken back originally, but it does make sense.
It's like on workmanship and the, that it, what's the word I'm looking for? Like that it's made well. That's what they're trying to warranty against. We don't have a defect. Yeah, like defect in the manufacturing process.
And if you get to 1,000, odds of you getting to 4,000 are very high. Like they're thinking the problem is going to surface before you go through a whole set of ink.
Exactly.
So. All right. That was question 1.
Yeah.
Here we go. Question 2 has to do with DTG, direct to garment printing. Can I print on sleeves using the F2100?
Yeah.
So when we talk about the F2100, there was a model before that, right? It's called the F2000. Then they have the F2100, and now they have an industrial version, the F3070.
Yeah.
So make sure everyone knows when you're answering this question, are you answering it for all, or are
Yeah.
you answering it for one?
Okay, so I'm answering it for all. All the platens are interchangeable between those 3 models. They all have the same hardware that you would slot in these platens.
Okay.
So Epson makes a platen. They call it their sleeve platen. It's 4 inch by 4 inch. So the answer to the question is yes. You can definitely print on sleeves, but we'll go, this is the extended.
Now this is it's like, can you print on a sleeve? Well, if you can print on the front of a shirt and it's made of cotton, you could print on it. It's really more like, how do I get
Yeah.
the printer to print on the sleeve?
So there's a Epson has theirs. It's called their sleeve platen. It's $350. It's a 4x4 little platen that you would slide your sleeve over. So like printing this logo type thing, you'd be able to do that with a sleeve platen. So that's for doing like a small portion of a sleeve. Lawson and Livingston both sell third-party platens that drop into the printer for long sleeve. So that's kind of cool. So Lawson's is 4 inches by 20 inches. So you could print all down a sleeve, text or whatever. And the Livingston version actually has 2 sleeves. So you can do 2 at a time. You'd be able to do both sleeves. And those are, 4¼ inch by 16½ inch. So yeah, and so all of these are interchangeable, easily dropped in within a matter of 2 seconds. It's lifting up and putting in the new one.
There's also, bonus, there's another company called Captain Platen, and they have a whole system, which basically replaces the base of the normal system, and then you tie on a bunch of different things. So that's like another avenue you could explore that could go even beyond maybe this question.
Yeah.
But there is another place out there. They're at a lot of the trade shows. We've done some collab videos with them.
Yeah.
So just another one.
It's cool. This is one of the places that Epson is allowing for like third parties to jump in and make their printer better, basically, by giving you more options, more customizability so that you can produce exactly the product that you want to make.
It's really, how do you create a flat surface on a sleeve that the printer would print on, and using these platens is how you do it.
Yep.
So, all right, that was question 2. We're moving right along. Question 3 I found was an interesting one. So I'm going to do my best to explain this question. Can I sublimate a 40 by 60 inch piece of, I would think it's a piece of metal used for art, with the same heat press, given that my heat press is not 40 by 60 inches?
Yeah. It's like, so if you had a...
Let's call it a T-shirt. I was doing T-shirts, and I had a 16 by 20 press.
Yeah. But I want to make a giant print to hang on my wall.
Yeah, can I sublimate in sections maybe 6 times, and then my job is done?
Yeah.
Why don't you give a short answer, and then maybe a little more?
Short answer is you could do it. So you can move the metal around.
I was going to say no.
Well, I'm going to give you the caveat. You can do it. You can move the metal around, and you could do it. But the problem is it's all a matter of what quality you're going for and what the tolerances are for some of the overlap. So the problem is if temperature and time and pressure aren't even across the entire surface of the print, the ink is going to sublimate at different rates, and you're going to have different color. So if you're pressing 6 different times, you're overlapping even just a little bit or underlapping,
there's going to be areas that have been pressed twice as long as the rest.
Exactly. And with different pressure, potentially. And so that'll present itself as like cloudiness a lot of times. I did see a unique video where someone was talking about doing exactly this, but building it into the design of the file. So if it's not a photograph, but it's, a menu board, you could line it up so that you have some blank space or some areas that have textures or something where you might not see it.
But if it was full coverage.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to get away with it.
And then think about the menu board thing. That would,
If you have the control over the design, then you could probably design around it a little bit.
Yeah, I would say if you got jobs to do menu boards, maybe it's time to think about a press.
Yeah.
That's big enough. Or stay within your niche and then outsource that to a print service provider that has all the technology, because the effort that's going to go into it, and then, we haven't talked about this, how expensive are those 40 inch by 60 inch pieces of metal?
Yeah, they're expensive.
Like
couple $100.
Yeah, a few $100s. So this isn't like, hey, I made a mistake and it cost me $3. This is, I made a mistake. I still now have to go find a solution, which will probably involve outsourcing at that point, which means you're going to pay more and it could be costly. So possible,
not recommended.
Not recommended.
Yeah.
All right. Question 3 in the books. Question 4. This was a question about some Canon printers, and the person was making a comment just about it'd be cool to show some stuff, but the premise is there's a lot of printers, and I'm trying to understand the differences. So can you help me understand?
Yeah.
Like, what's the lineup right now? Because they came out with a fluorescent, or that we have a YouTube video about it, radiant infusion technology.
Yeah.
Walk us through.
So he specifically asked about, so he's like, there's the Pro 2000, there's the 2100, there's the GP 2000, there's all these, like, they sound really similar. And so I was just going to, give an overview of how Canon names their things, what they mean, and what are the current printers. So all of these printers fall under the line of image prograph. That's what they call their wide format professional, printers. So image prograph, and then after that, there's the Pro series. So the Pro 2000 was what the previous generation, Pro 2100. Those are the photo and fine art printers. So 12 color, photo and fine art. Then they also have TA, TM, and TX printers. So instead of having Pro as the prefix, it's TA, TM, TX, and those are technical printers. And now this year they've come out with this other category, which is GP, and that refers to anything with this radiant infusion, anything with this pink. And I don't know what GP stands for. In my mind, to like help remember it, I just say glittering pink.
Glittering pink.
Because it's got this pink ink and it's all sparkly and fun. So,
did you try Googling it?
No, I did. No, I did try Googling it. It was not successful. So I'm going to go on Wikipedia, call it glittering pink, and then it's truth.
And they'll be boxed into a corner.
Yeah. So that's GP. So that's kind of how, those are the 3 different categories of printers that we sell in this Canon image prograph line. And then he was asking like 2000, 2100. So the way that they do the numbers, the 2, it refers to the width of the printer.
Right.
And it's, so if you think 2 is 24 inches, 4 is 44 inches, and 6 is 60 inches, it's like that first, whatever that is, number in the inch width. So the Pro 2100 is the current 12 color professional photographic printer in 24 inches. You can see why it gets confusing.
Yeah.
So, and then if you go to the GP 2000, that is the extended Gamut. I think they owe us royalties on the name of on the printer. But no, it's 10 colors plus pink ink. So that's called the GP 2000. And then, if that's not confusing enough, they also have the GP 200, which is 24 inches, but it's a scaled down, only 5 colors plus pink ink, and that's the 24-inch version. So it is super confusing. This is where I would probably just call a sales rep and tell him what you're trying to do, and we can walk you through the whole line. But there are at least 5 printers that are 24 inches wide that are Canon printers in the image prograph family right now. And so it gets complicated, but I would talk to a sales rep, but basically you're deciding between photo quality. Do I need technical document type quality? Do I want proofing and extended gamut quality? And then kind of some speed questions within there to narrow down on which printer it is that you need.
And I had a conversation with someone that actually walked into our office earlier today, and they were also talking about archivability.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a whole nother layer of how long, like once I print on it, does it need to last? And some of the Canons don't have the archivability that others have.
If you're printing a blueprint, you don't need it to last very long. So those technical printers, they don't make any claims on those inks lasting years and years. But when you get into the professional photographer and fine art
Yeah.
type market, that matters a lot. So, and those would be the archival inks, is the Pro series. Really, it's one of those things that's hard to answer without knowing what's this customer looking for and just kind of narrowing down onto which printer. And then you add in, well, the HP and Epson also make printers that service that same thing. So you can see how you kind of need help to navigate where do I start when I'm looking for these printers.
Do you like to start with what's the width, and then narrow it down to your archivability and your gamut and speed? Or how do you, when you're talking to someone,
Yeah.
what's a good way of thinking about it? Or do they all sort of arrive at the same answer in the end?
I think width is what's the max width that you will have to be able to produce. That's probably a good place to start, because you can always use 24-inch paper on a 60-inch printer.
Right.
What's the max width that you'll have to produce? Because it sucks if you buy a printer and spend a bunch of money and then you realize oh, this actually doesn't do.
Because if you need 60-inch, you're going to automatically rule out some models that only come in 24 and 44.
Exactly.
So that helps you.
like
the GP.
Yeah, exactly. So you cannot get glittering pink ink in a 60-inch body right now. You have to get it in 44-inch or 24-inch.
I'm going to verify that on Wikipedia in a couple hours.
Yeah. Well, Canon's going to shut this podcast down. This is slander.
Oh, man. All right. So that's the fourth question. Here we go. Fifth, final question. Episode 2 of the Extended Gamut. It involves lamination wait time. And this actually, so we've talked about a couple ways to get your questions in. We also travel around. We visit people, and we go to trade shows. And we were recently at a trade show in Atlanta, the ISA Sign Expo, let's call it.
Yeah.
I never know if you could say
show.
Sign Expo after saying ISA, because it's the
Association.
International
I don't know.
Sign Association.
There's a lot of signed people there.
Expo.
There's a lot of signed people there. It was a really good show, really well attended.
We had a lot of great conversations.
Yeah.
So one topic that came up while we were there was someone looking at, and in our booth we had an Epson Resin printer, and then we had an HP Latex, the 800W. We did not have the Epson SureColor S Series, S80 there. And someone was asking about lamination wait time and saying, well, the Epson S Series used to have certain,
Yep.
but now it has better.
Yep.
But the Latex is right away, but now you have this resin. Help me understand my wait times. And
Okay.
so that's the question.
Yeah. All right. So let's start at the very top then. So why do you care? Why does this matter? So when you print something with solvent technology, there's a chemical process that's happening to bind the inks into the media, and that chemical process involves outgassing, right? So that I think of chemistry class when you would
Yeah.
mix things together and you get bubbles are going everywhere. Well, that's what's happening, and so that has to go somewhere. So if you were to put a film laminate over the top of that ink while that process is still completing, you're going to trap those bubbles underneath, and they're not going to have anywhere to go, and so they'll just show up as blurry silvering. Some people say it's you just don't get a clear picture, and that's one way that it can manifest. It can actually get worse than that if you were to put it on a car, and then it has to come out the back of the car into the car's paint. So there's a lot of risks with laminating something before it's outgassed. So Epson solvent printers, Roland solvent printers, Mamaki solvent printers, as of 10 years ago, it was all thought, everyone was told in the industry, give it 24 hours before you laminate so that all of that solvent process can complete and can outgas.
Which was fine if you printed everything and you had time to do the job and everything went great when you were doing the job and you didn't have to reprint a panel or something.
Yeah. So, and that was just kind of industry standard, and things weren't moving as fast as they are now, where you have to ship same day, and
You're saying customer expectations may have shifted.
Yeah. So, that was 24 hours. Then HP, so 10 years ago, or 11, or maybe it's 12 now, HP came out with their latex printer. Mm-hmm. And their big thing, one of the big things, was same-day lamination, instant lamination. So it was, the print comes off, and there is no solvent process happening. There is no chemical process that has to complete.
Right. It was using water.
Yep. So you can instantly laminate it and put it on a vehicle or put it up in a store or whatever. And so that was kind of the battle, was latex against all of the other solvent manufacturers. And so then Epson comes out with the second generation of S series, so the S40, 60, 80. And they said then same day lamination. So 4 to 6 hours of outgas time. So their chemists came up with a new process that didn't have the same outgassing.
This is different from the S30, 50, 70.
Right. So this is like 2016, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And so now it's 4 to 6 hours. So you could print in the morning, and by the afternoon, you could laminate it and put it on a vehicle, which was a big leap forward. But still not instant. And so that's where the S series stands right now. So S40, S60,
Same
S80.
day lamination.
4 to 6
4
hours.
to 6 hours.
Yep. And, meanwhile, latex is still instant.
Okay.
And then Epson now just recently came out with their resin printer, the R5070. And that is very similar to HP's latex ink. And so it's instant lamination as well. So it's non-solvent, no VOCs, and it's so there's nothing that needs to outgas before lamination.
So there's now 2 instant lamination options
Yep.
between the HP and Epson portfolios.
Yep. That's right.
Okay.
So if you're running a business and you do a lot of wraps, that's super important because, well, I don't have to tell them, but like if you mess up a panel and the installer, messes it up on the day of installation and they need just one part of the panel printed again and you can't print it immediately and deliver it, you have to wait either 4 to 6 hours or a day, depending on the technology. That can really set you back.
All right. Well, great. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for our 5 questions. Thanks for listening. As always, the content is sourced from you, the listeners. So find us on YouTube, chat us on our website, email us, talk to a rep if you have one, find us at a trade show.
Printing United is in October, and then what's the one in Indy that we'll be at?
We'll be, at the GPX, the Graphics Pro Expo in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah.
June 4th through the 6th. So we got a couple more scheduled too. So find us there, or the easiest way, www.itsupplies.com/questions. You can just enter your question and we will review it for future episodes. So thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next time.